Let's go.
There we go. Welcome to the neighborhood, everyone. It is Gina.
Hey, Taylor.
And our special guest, Kristin. Hello. Kristin is here. We're gonna get into her. Do we call you Kristin?
Yes, please.
I feel like we should salute.
No.
Say General. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Retired Brigadier General. I mean, wow. We kind of have to behave today.
Oh, no.
So.
Maybe.
Yeah.
The mayor of Centennial always comes in here, and she's always like,
Yeah.
I'm like, hello, Mayor.
Come on,
You
man.
can just call me Stephanie.
No, no, we
You
can't.
do it.
I can't call her.
You
I can't call her Stephanie.
His title.
Yes, exactly. It's kind of
Yeah.
like calling someone who's a doctor, and you just call them by their first name. I'm like, if
Even
I went to
Tessa,
school
like, she
that
has a
long,
PhD,
yeah.
and she's I'm like, Dr. Tessa, and she
just
doesn't
doesn't know.
not.
It's doctor.
It's-
Yes, we are
Support the work
respectful.
you've done.
Exactly.
We respect the work you've done.
Respectful. The
Yeah.
hard work. Like, dang. Like I would make my family call me General. I would. But we are excited, and this is again, just in case you're tuning in and going, what the heck did I just get into? This is the neighborhood. And you know what? It dawned on me. We're always referring to Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. We get on the trolley, we travel around the neighborhood, we go to the news desk, we talk about it. But then I started singing this morning the song from Sesame Street. Who are the people in the neighborhood? That was Sesame Street,
No,
Mm.
Mr. Rogers.
not Mr.
Did
Rogers.
you think
So,
that was Mr. Rogers
No.
this whole time?
no.
Oh.
But it just dawned on me that there's also a way to tie in Sesame Street for our childish behavior. So,
Are we live on Instagram?
no, we're not.
Sorry.
No, I, you know what?
She's
Instagram?
doing that.
No, Meta, make it easier for me. But I hear the trolley coming,
Here.
and so.
And the trolley is
Mr. Rogers.
reference.
Yes. You got on the trolley and you went to the land of make-believe with scary puppets. And so instead of scary puppets, we go to the news desk.
That's what we should describe when you're like, okay, give me like a run of this podcast. And like, what's it gonna be like? Well, you're going on a train, make believe train to a make believe place, and there's scary
And the
puppets.
scary puppets. Yeah.
Just act.
Well, just like normal. Well, I have some business news that it does apply to everyone listening and everyone in this room. Because Starbucks, they have a new CEO at Starbucks. And yeah, they do. Howard's out. Starbucks is struggling. Let's face it. You know what? Everyone's getting tired of paying $12 for a caramel macchiato and waiting 12 minutes and getting your drink wrong. So
Okay.
the new CEO, and plus they've opened a bajillion stores everywhere. And so I think what Starbucks is realizing, we have to get back to basics. Well, the new CEO bringing back the Sharpies.
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
So if you remember the days they would
what
ask
is it?
you,
A sticker.
yes, right now they do the computer printout sticker. So the new CEO is ordering millions of dollars worth of Sharpies. Let's just say that, like $200 million.
Sharpie is punk.
Sharpie is punk.
Sharpie is punk.
If you own stock in Sharpie, celebrate because it's going up. Howard, the new CEO is buying all Sharpies again, bringing it back. And I thought what was interesting is they're going back to writing on the cup, taking your order. So now I can go back to saying my name is Lola. When they always ask, like, what's a good name for your cup? Well, that's a weird question. What's a good name for my cup? So I always say Lola. And then I have to pay attention when they call my order. Oh, yeah, that's my name.
There's a couple here. I love that name.
I love that name.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Oh, that's me. That's me.
Yeah.
So now they're going back to writing, but what that is doing is it's telling the customer and it's telling the staff, we're getting back to basics, people. We're going back to basics. And it made me think of what are the basics in your business that after a while you kind of forget. And we've talked about this in some of our team meetings and going back to basics of, we opened during COVID, 10 days before COVID. So our whole first year was if we sanitize the countertops. We were making TikTok videos of us spraying the counters and doing goofy videos around that. But it made me think of what were the basics of our business that we used to do that maybe we've forgotten because we either automated it or we've gotten too big and too busy, just like Starbucks. What are some other things you could think of that might be like back to basics? How about like in your business? Do you see things that maybe you've already forgotten to do?
My brain is struggling because my microphone's not working again.
That cannot be true.
It's true. Sure. I was like, let's test.
Well, no, I wanted to test. I wanted to have everything set because I tested it yesterday. Our people chat in the live chat here.
Jealous if you can
Yeah.
hear me or not.
Want to hear Taylor?
I can't.
Maybe
I'm just
that's
talking
you.
loud and it's but what yeah, wait, say something in yours. Yeah. Kristen.
Kristin, yeah.
Good morning.
Yeah. She's like, is it morning still? Yeah.
It's afternoon.
Yeah, it is.
It's morning somewhere.
It is morning somewhere.
Mhm.
Somewhere we probably don't want to be. Where is it morning still? It's like going.
Hawaii?
have to
You don't
go-
want to be in
Well, I
Hawaii?
do want to be in Hawaii. Okay,
Okay.
it's still morning then.
Yeah.
I was going east. So it was like
Oh,
night, but yeah, I don't want to go somewhere cold. So yeah, Hawaii. So we're
Yeah. It
No?
will sound great.
you both sound.
It's me.
You both sound. Good? It's just
You
you.
want to share?
Yeah. Well, what's weird is you have the other microphone now. You have the good microphone that we were certain is
me.
that microphone. It's
Keep,
you.
keep going.
Yeah. Maybe
Go
we'll
back
do
to
raise
basics
your-
is we shouldn't be doing this.
You know what?
Great
But our
topic.
basics was we used to only do audio, and now we're like, you know what? We're gonna do video.
Oh, really?
You should see
There we
Taylor's
go.
head. You know what? Taylor's used to whenever in our ballroom here, whenever we have big events, Taylor is the AV expert that has to go in. So I just thought that was good. Peace out. You know, going back to basics on your business, think through all the things that you started doing when you first were planning your business, and then look at it and say, what can we do? Maybe you need to maybe you need to order some Sharpies. Maybe we need to go back and do gel pens. Or
yeah.
number 2 pencils. Yeah, it did make me think of all the things that we were doing when we first opened, even though it was such a weird time that it's really not applicable. But I mean, we even our marketing when we first opened, we were on top of posting all the time, doing all things, and that has fallen by the wayside. So
I know.
it's kind of one of those things that we go, what did we used to do in our other lifetime? Oh yeah, marketing. That's what we used to do. So yeah,
I like that question.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have not been distracted by me not being heard because I like that question.
Yeah.
But and that's me. I'm an analog gal.
you are.
I think we're getting the AI trend, which I love.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. I'm finally on ChatGPT using it all the time.
No, she loves the Google's
Oh,
Gemini
Gemini.
and email
When they summarize your email,
emails. Too.
wow.
I love that.
Yeah, because people send me novel emails.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like with tons of info because it's a lot of the people who are like, oh, I want to do a program there, and so they're just like, here's 5 paragraphs full, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so
Of
overwhelmed.
their business strategy that we don't need to know. We
Yeah.
need to know what
I
size
saw a
books you
shirt
need.
with a frog as a cowboy, and it said, "Hold up, brother, I'm overstimulated." And I was like, I need that shirt so that I can just kind of like, hold on, and just unbutton my button up and just show them, hold on. But now Gemini, I just
Summarize.
Gemini summarizes the email, gives me bullet points, and then I just respond to the 4 bullet points it gives me. And you can say less or more, but I love AI, I love all the things, but I think we do a good job here of not going too futuristic where we don't lose touch points with
True.
people.
But we're a physical
could-
business, so it's
But you could be like, why do we have someone at the front desk?
True.
Because you can have somebody else answering the phone somewhere. You can have
self-made coffee, automated.
self-made coffee. You can have a tablet to check in and
True.
shop. You could like all these things that other spaces do have.
Yeah.
And we're like, back to the basics of like we do have to do all the points, which sometimes then we're like, oh my gosh, we're doing so much, but the big picture is it's for
That's actually a great point of back to basics because we're a physical business and we're in the hospitality business, not the office rental business. We have offices, 77 of them, but we are in the
Who's counting?
hospitality. But who's counting and who's tracking revenue on all those 77 offices? But it is interesting because so many spaces look for how do we automate everything so that we don't have to have staff. And we need to go back to how do we make sure we're not overlooking those touch points that really do differentiate us. And in any business, you have to look at, are we automating things that we should be touching base with customers? You know, even sending an email when you can pick up the phone.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it may be easier and more efficient, but at what cost?
Yeah.
I think that's something to look at.
There's a business.
Go
The next time you go to
invest in
Starbucks,
Sharpies.
go to Starbucks and tell them your pseudo name and watch them write it
Yeah.
in a Sharpie.
Yeah.
I hear the trolley.
I hear it.
I hear it.
Uh-oh.
Kristen can't hear it, but it is.
I can't hear it
Yeah.
Basically, let me hear it. Oh, you're doing so good.
There's a lot of things that I hear. No one else hears.
I feel like
Oh, yeah. That too.
but now we're at Kristen's house. I'm taking it too far.
You know that movie Shutter Island?
No.
No.
Is it a scary movie?
It's
It's a scary movie. I would not watch it.
I hate
I
horror
hate-
though. I hate horror and but I love Shutter Island because it's like a mystery thriller. And so the whole movie is there's and listen, I'm about to totally spoil this movie. It's been out for like 20
Yeah,
years.
you
so
had your chance.
you
You had your chance.
It's like if you don't know that Bruce Willis was dead the whole time.
Oh, that movie? Oh no. I haven't seen that one either. But wait, is he
So I
alive?
know the Sixth Sense. He's dead.
He's dead.
That is. Oh, they break that scene.
For us to believe that a married couple didn't.
And I love you to believe he was dead.
You're like,
That's
we're all
true.
just like, they don't talk.
They
That's fine.
She doesn't even see him.
We get
Yeah,
it.
we get that.
But the whole movie is Leonardo DiCaprio and this other actor that I don't know. Sorry.
Obviously watching. She's watching this podcast. She's
Offended.
It's
She
a
probably
man.
switched over.
But
uh,
he is a detective and they're solving this case of this murder and they go to this like it's the famous San Francisco jail island
Oh,
Alcatraz.
Alcatraz.
Like they go to it's like just this dark room where they're solving this murder and he's the detective and then at the end, like literally at the end, he's in an asylum and he's a crazy person. And every day I don't know if it's every day, but it's like every week he goes through this cycle and he's reliving and he went crazy and drowned his family.
Oh,
But he is
wow.
like, I'm trying to solve who killed my family. And so every week or day he's like, so at the end, you know, they're like, okay, buddy, like, yeah, good work on the case.
Right.
And then they lock him up and then he does it again. And so it's like so,
Was me knocking on the door?
wait. Is this my door?
Where's my house? Where's my house?
you open the door, this is us doing it, and you're like,
Is this Leah? Am I Leah?
Leo,
no,
I'm
so
the-
I was
with the jailer.
it's like, oh, you know,
I don't know how we got on the subject, but the Shutter Island concept. I was like, what if we were doing that to my mom? What if she's pretending she's running things here?
I believe that every day.
She wakes up like,
Good job.
like, that's a great decision.
Yes.
And they're like, hey, go to the office and get some work done. And they're like, all right, everyone, so let's actually have this meeting. What are we really doing here? We can't be doing that. We can't be doing that.
You know what? This
So-
stems from David. I'm going to blame David. We just met with a guy, who's an implementer,
Oh, David, yes.
David, who is going to help us get our
He's
business.
an EOS
Yeah,
implementer.
Oh,
Yeah.
not an implementer.
No, and there's an integrator
Oh,
and
yeah.
visionary.
Yes.
He's an implementer for the
But
EOS.
I'm going to blame him because somehow he put that in your head
Yeah.
that I'm really the person who does nothing.
Because
And they'll
if
walk me
you want,
away.
like, if you want it actually done, like talk to Taylor.
Yeah.
but then it's like, then I do have to be like, well, I'm gonna do it, but she might shut it down, so you do have to talk to her. And so it's just this thing that's like, we just joke, I'm in my scrub at the end of the day in my insane asylum, and I'm like, good job, you did so
job.
good.
Good
Okay.
job, boss.
Anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
so she runs the village, but what are we actually doing here? So
We're really going to Kristen's house.
now we're there.
Now we're there.
Yeah, she was just watching this all on her ring doorbell, and she was like calling the police, and we're about to get arrested, and they're like, wait, no, it's us. We
It's us.
actually do want to talk to you.
We want to talk to Kristen.
Yeah.
Brigadier General. Did you say retired first or do you say retired at the end?
And
At the end. Yeah, Brigadier General. Who happens to be retired? But yeah. Like I'm hoping someday I can say Gina Shrek retired.
Yeah.
Like someday I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
How long were you actually in the military?
32 years, 9 months.
What?
But no.
No one's counting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't
Wow.
count everything else. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Okay. What?
Oh.
Right now.
She's like,
Right now. That was, yeah. No,
You
that was
did great.
Yeah.
You did great.
I did great.
in
Yeah,
the
that's good.
what branch?
Airport.
Air Force.
Because yeah, you were a bomber.
As a Navy brat, was just a graph. And
Yeah.
you were
Actually serving our
Okay.
country. Yeah, saving our lives. Helping our country get through this. I think today we're going to need you again. Strap it up again because we're going to have to fly and rescue
And
people.
pardon my complete ignorance, but what does that title mean?
Because it is not just like in the military, you kind of go, the longer you're in, you can be promoted, but you have to be voted in, correct? Like you have to serve time and you have to have
To
somebody,
be a brigadier general,
elected.
you're saying?
yeah, brigadier general. Like tell us how, like brigadier general versus other positions.
Yeah. So when you start out in the services, there usually there's some that are automatic. Like when you go from a second lieutenant, it's 2 years before you go to a first lieutenant, and then it's usually automatic.
Scoot
You
you
go to,
closer here.
you go
There
to
we go.
captain. Oh,
Oh, there we go.
is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Nope.
It doesn't matter how close you get. You're
So,
right.
so
some
some of
automatic.
it's automatic in the beginning, but then after that, it's based on your performance, and you have to learn kind of a skill set. And what I always say, there's that book out there. What gets you there won't always get you
Where you need to
where
go.
you need to
Yeah.
go or above. So you learn your technical expertise up to a point, but then you got to transition to that leader. So not everybody has that skill set, and that's okay.
Right.
But you do have to compete against other people
Yeah.
because it is a kind of a triangle that gets less positions the higher up you get.
Which is interesting.
Organization. Yeah.
As a female in the military, was that harder, or did you not feel that was an issue by then?
So I came in 1993. So that's a lot different than today.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way. So
That
you
is
know,
interesting.
it was crazy. There was a lot of still jobs that I was the first in. And I mean, I just did my job and it didn't really look at it. But, at that point, I was like,
Yeah.
I would have thought a lot more women
Women
would have
would be.
been, in the
So you were just getting the job and you get, you're the first woman to do this. And you're like, phew.
Yeah.
Like, huh.
I'm curious, at what point did you decide first you just wanted to go into the military?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And I was 10 years old.
10?
Yeah, exactly 10.
Were your parents either one in the
Yeah,
military?
yeah. So it's a combination of two things. One, it was April 1981. Yeah, I was 10, and it's about 7 days after my 10th birthday, and I watched the shuttle launch. It was in Columbia, and it was
Wow.
the first shuttle launch, and it was really exciting, especially for a 10-year-old who just got her first Walkman. So I was all excited about that, right?
Yeah.
Who couldn't be more excited
Magic
about?
Gardens of the Galaxy playlist in.
There you go.
Yeah.
No, it's Thriller. Michael Jackson.
Oh, yeah,
Thriller.
that's true.
Back then.
Yeah.
I'm dating myself.
Yeah, that's true. 81.
Yeah, but anyway, it's seeing the opportunity of continued space travel and
Wow.
just the excitement of the unknown, the adventure, all of that got me excited. But my dad was also in the Coast Guard, and he went to the Coast Guard Academy, and he had this great bond with all his classmates, and they were always around. And I thought that was really cool to be something bigger
Right.
than just himself.
Yeah.
Serving, and he was so proud. He still is so proud of the Coast Guard,
Yeah.
of the nation. He used to wake me up when I come home with revelation inside my door, and I would jump up because I was
Oh my
I
God.
went to the academy, and I was like, Dad, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
don't
he'd be
do that
drinking
to
his
me.
coffee laughing,
Like, yeah.
and I'm like, that's like torture for a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that.
Oh, that
I'm
is
gonna play
so funny.
taps, for you at the end.
There you
No.
go. Yeah, right. That's in your bugle. Yeah.
Oh,
So I knew when I was 10. But it was a
Oh.
kind of a combination of both of those.
So
Just
then,
I had a sense of service. I
Do you
really
have
wanted to
siblings?
serve.
Do you have?
I do. 3.5 years younger. I have a half brother.
Okay, so you are the oldest.
I am the oldest.
Because I was curious. I was like, okay, did birth order come into play when you think of leadership skills? Did
Sometimes.
yeah, that is interesting. So at 10, you were like, okay, this is what I want to do.
but then for the next 8 years, you're like, that's in your head. And then in high school, you're like, I know what I'm doing after high school. Or
It's crazy. Like
so.
some people, some people don't know, and that's okay.
Yeah.
They go to college and they're,
Figure
I
it
just,
out. Yeah.
I knew. It was kind of a weird thing. I just knew, and you know what?
Cool.
Thank goodness I did, because you get those forks in the road,
Yeah.
and
Right.
and you're with your friends or you're in situation, and I would just say, and everybody knew,
And you
I
knew
want to go
going
to the
to go
Air Force
to
Academy, and I don't want to screw this up,
Right.
so I'm not going to do that. And they were all like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
It
That
was
is
kind of an
interesting.
excuse to get.
to get out of it, which is interesting because too, you knew what you wanted to do when you were really little.
Yeah.
Because like most kids,
We
we
all
love
wanted to be a
animals.
veterinarian.
Everybody wants to be a vet, and
But
you
then I carried that.
you carried it all the way through and
All
college.
you quitters out there. There's another one.
Yeah. And look
yeah.
what she's doing today. She's
Well, but
managing
I
our
think
Zoom.
what it is you also had, so I think the difference, because we're so similar, and we had our visions at a young age.
Yeah.
But then I didn't know, because there was no one in my life that was doing that.
Right,
I didn't know what it took.
right.
I didn't know like level of discipline or like I get to a fork and it's like, oh, I should be doing these activities because this is what's going to get me to be in that career.
But
I
my
was like,
friends are
oh,
over
no,
here.
My
Yeah.
friends are over here. I'll just go over here.
So
I'll
that
figure it
is
out later.
interesting.
And so it was like I just didn't. I had no. Here's what you need. Here's what it will take. And I think then once I got there, I was like, woo, too late for me now because
I am not that dedicated to school.
Yeah.
And they were like, you need 10,000 hours of community service or like volunteer in that industry and a 4.0 at least.
At least,
And I'm
yeah.
like, that's just
Do your parents look back and say you always had leadership qualities as a kid? Did you lead your friend groups when you were really young?
Yeah, that's funny.
Dictate the play. You're going to be this.
So I just had this conversation with my amazing spouse, and when I was, we have two daughters,
Yeah.
12 and 10, and so somehow we got on the topic of leadership and when you were younger, and when I was in kindergarten, so 5, I led the women in our class against the men in our class at recess. And we live in Connecticut.
Oh my
Okay?
gosh, I love it.
Yeah, and they had these rocks called mica, and it's very shiny.
oh yeah.
And so we were trying to collect the shiny, like the treasure.
Yeah.
And so
The women.
The women. Yeah.
and so I would negotiate with the leader of the boys.
Oh my gosh.
But I remember that it was a funny
It
thing.
was like a tiny military experience. You're going into this land and you're dealing with their foreign diplomats
Yeah.
and
That
Getting
is
the shiny
so
stuff.
Yeah.
At 5.
That was really,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
But-
lots of
yeah.
Avatar right there.
Yes. That is fascinating to me to think of, when you think of your kids and you see those little
Yeah.
whispers in them when they're
You can
young,
love
and
that.
you can see how that took them on this path. So that's really fascinating. So
Yeah,
okay.
interesting because my daughter does lead what they call the gang.
she does.
But-
No, what do they call it? What's
Dragon
they
Girls.
call it the dragon?
The
Oh.
school was like, there's some that they said
I don't know.
like
Like,
organized groups forming, and she led the Dragon Girls, and then there was the Crazy Boys,
and
they would fight at recess and like gather the women, and then
Yeah.
they would gather the boys, and they would all get together. And
Battle.
it got to a point where they had to shut it down, and they were like, they can no longer be.
kindergarten.
Yeah.
Same. She's in first grade now, but last year, Brigadier General, Ophelia. Yeah. And they were like, kids would come up and they would go, Ophelia, and
and then the parents were like, you want
She's
the
the
dragon?
leader of the dragon.
And I was
Girls.
like,
Yeah. She does have a tattoo now of a dragon on her back. I don't know.
yeah, so
Exactly.
it's interesting. That might be a whisper that I look back and I'm like,
I know.
remember when you led a little gang? They did send out an email saying,
The email was
the
so
email was
good.
really funny because they were like, if you've ever seen West Side
Yeah,
Story,
that's what the teacher wrote.
Right.
we had her on West Side Story, and I was like, oh my gosh, Ophelia, this is about you.
She showed her the video.
But interesting
Uh.
then because you already had this thing of I'm gonna advocate for a group of people, or
Yeah.
I'm going to serve this group of people for these shiny objects.
For the good of my,
For the good
of
of
my people.
for the
My
good of
people.
my
Yeah.
women. For the
Um,
Micah.
But okay, so you followed this leadership path. What now, looking back at your kind of childhood and all through school, what do you attribute your leadership quality? Like, where did you get that sense?
Where did you get that?
Like, could you attribute it to a person that you
Like your father,
can inspire,
like
or your
saying, like,
father, or your mom, or
Yeah, you know, it's fascinating. There's sometimes I feel like I'm the black sheep of the family.
Oh,
Like, how did I get
interesting.
here? And then there's sometimes, you know, you feel that connection. But my father's my stepfather. He's not my biological father.
Okay.
So he adopted me when I was 5. Yet I am more like him in so many ways.
Yeah.
So I would say that his influence, he was a tough dad.
Yeah.
You know, he was tough on me, but he set the you know, just kind of the boundaries, the guardrails, and the ability to see a goal and go after it.
Yeah.
And he held me accountable on things.
interesting,
Yeah,
which is
but
really
I
important.
had an internal
Yeah.
drive,
So,
and I had a vision, and I knew what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And even if people, I mean, back then, I heard a lot. Girls can't do this, and you'll never be able to do that. And
He was saying that, or other people?
other people.
Okay.
He would never say that. No, he
Yeah.
was very. My parents were very encouraging
Yeah.
and very supportive.
Yeah.
So I think it's a combination of both. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
that is interesting. The
Yeah.
nurture versus
Is that
nature.
like the Don't Trust Your Gut book?
Yes.
The Google, he used to work at Google in the analytics department, and he does a lot of things where it's like, you can say, make my kid take piano lessons, I'm going to make them go to science club, I'm going to make them do all these things, but it's actually what they're around that influences them more than what you are telling them
Yeah.
to do.
Right.
So the fact that you were around all of your dad's former, like,
You saw
military, like the
this.
Coast Guard,
Yeah.
you saw that modeled outside of just the family, because a lot of kids can do the like eye rolling, like, okay, yeah, I'm making my bed every morning is important, or
Right.
discipline is important, or this path like is a good career path, or whatever, what have you. But you actually saw not only your dad modeling that for you and your parents being encouraging, which are both incredibly important, and then you also had that outside influence that was accidental. It's not like they were like,
Right.
I'm only inviting good people,
Right.
so that you can see that, but you saw that modeled in all the people around you, and maybe that was a player in it too. So
I think so.
yeah.
I think very much so.
Yeah, that is interesting. And that book is really good. It's called Don't Trust Your Gut.
I know I read that a lot.
I know,
Never
that is
having
a
read it.
great book. And it was a Google analytic guy that
Yeah.
wrote this book all about how you raise your kids and how little parental guidance matters. It's more
like,
about who
yeah,
you're
and so
around.
it's still is like a parental thing, like paying attention to
Right.
what is influencing them. And so that's what's interesting is you're asking questions, Mom, of like, okay, well, what was it that developed this leadership style?
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, maybe it's that outside influence that you mentioned, like your dad was close and had a lot of tight camaraderie with all the people who were in the Coast Guard with
Right.
him. And so maybe it was a little bit of that. And then all the other people you kind of grew up around, like a woman here grew up in Cape Canaveral, the launch rockets.
Oh yeah, Cape Canaveral.
And she is in aerospace.
Yeah.
And it's just like, she's like, I didn't even think about it, but I was just around rocket scientists all the time. My
Right.
parents didn't want me to be one, but so
Yeah.
interesting.
That is
then you're
really
here. So then we enter the
your military. Yeah, your military life. And was it stressful more so when you first got into the military, or as you advanced in your career, did you find your stress levels went up like a normal career path?
Oh, it was definitely as
High
I
stress.
progressed. You know, basic training. You know, I just had fun.
Really?
Oh yeah, I was like, because I went in because my dad was tough on me.
Yeah.
And you're right. I had that environment that I knew kind of what I was getting into, and we lived on military bases every once in a while, and yeah, so I knew that environment, and I said I went to basic on both. They can't kill me, but anything else, I mean, they're going to yell
We
at
know
me.
that's illegal. So yeah. Everything else, I think it's fair game.
Yeah, and so my freshman year was the easiest year at the Air Force Academy because you knew where you stood. You're at the bottom.
Yeah.
And you know, the toughest year was
That's true.
it was the second year because you're not really an upperclassman, but you're not at the bottom, and where do you fit, and you're trying to figure things out. And you're 18, 19, or 20, you know, all that.
That is interesting.
So,
So
yeah.
as you progress, it got obviously more and more stressful. And then what did you find to be the most stressful position that you held?
Whenever I think the most stressful yet the most honorable position you can have is a commander. And a commander is when you're in charge of not only the mission, but to me the most important thing is the people.
Yeah.
And it's those in uniform and civilians in your organization. Because you need to have you need to take care of the people, I should say.
Right.
You need to have people, but you need to take care of them to do the mission.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the mission doesn't happen.
Right.
And so when you're a commander, you have to make tough calls.
Yeah.
Sometimes you put on the judge hat, sometimes you put on the discipline hat, sometimes you play, the mom hat,
Yeah.
where
I'm
you're,
just
where
gonna
you're
say that is
listening.
interesting.
But you also have to be professional and keep your distance. You can't get too close. So you learn boundaries. You go to a promotion ceremony where these people are getting promoted and you're up there speaking.
Celebration.
And then unfortunately, as a commander, you go to a funeral and you're hugging, the family. And so you have to be able to adjust.
Right.
Because you can't go to the promotion saying, "Oh my gosh, I just went to this funeral," and you can't bring that with you.
Right.
You have to celebrate and you have to be present. And so, those are things that I'd say the most challenging at the most rewarding times.
Learning how to compartmentalize.
Compartmentalize, but you have
pieces.
an opportunity if you take it seriously to really have an impact on people's lives and really, see them soar and be their, champion, help them see their superpowers. Sometimes, push them to limits that they didn't know.
Yeah.
And, so they went, "Oh, I never knew I could do that." Right.
Which is always so cool to see, even as a parent and as a leader, where you see the potential in somebody that they don't even see.
Right.
And sometimes it's so frustrating when they don't see it and they can't stay on track. And we have somebody that we wanted as part of our team for so long, and you see the potential that person has. Oh, you could do great things, and they, it's like
They have to see it.
they have to see it. They have to want it.
I can see why that would be most stressful.
Yeah.
That's a lot of different tasks, and each of them are equally heavy.
Yeah,
Like,
you take it very seriously.
responsibility. Yeah, but then you're then generals above commander.
So generals of rank,
Okay.
commanders
okay.
of position.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've had different leadership
Okay.
positions
Yeah.
where I was in charge of a squadron, I was in charge of a wing, I was in charge of the cadets, and that the whole cadre. So different organizations you lead at. Some are small, some are really big.
Yeah.
And so the scope of your responsibility is always different.
Right.
And then I tell the girls, I go, "You can't surprise me." I've seen a lot.
I've seen it all.
And I'm very calm about it. I think that's one thing that I loved is, I actually get calmer in stressful situations.
I was just going to say, it does put things in perspective when somebody's freaking out about something. It's not a life or death situation.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would always say, okay, the engine's not on fire, so
Right.
we're okay.
We're okay.
We'll take a deep breath.
Yeah.
But
We can get through this.
yeah.
We can get through this. Yeah,
But
which is
it also, as a leader was really, it kind of brings me to, where I am today, but you really see the power of people and their superpowers. And you were saying, you want to be a veterinarian, right? And a lot of us are driven by what society tells us we should do. Right? You should do this. You should be a lawyer, a doctor, a veterinarian, or whatever it is, right? But you don't know until you're exposed to it.
Right.
Yeah.
And the other thing is we're all trying to figure out who we are. And I do feel that we have a certain makeup of who we are and what skills we have or we don't have.
Yeah.
So maybe your friend just doesn't have that skill set. You see something in them, but maybe it's not, that exact thing.
right.
Yeah.
So where do we fit? And I think finding who you really are and authentically living that is, I think, one of the most powerful things that we can do for each other.
How do you help people do that? What are some things that you now, since you actually, we're kind of getting ahead of it, but you now have a company, Delta V,
Yeah.
and you're now helping people develop those skills. How do you, when you see somebody that needs to kind of go in that direction, is there exercises you have them kind of self-discovery or to get to know themselves and their style so that they can develop?
Yeah, that's an hour conversation.
I know.
Yeah.
Well,
Let me go back. I'll go back to the military for a second. I'll go back. So when I was where I really found this valuable is, I was supposed to go get my master's, and I had this great honor my direct boss said, "Hey, congratulations! You just got awarded. You're going to go off to the school, blah blah, go see the wing commander." And I went up to his office, and he said, "Congratulations! Here's your piece of paper saying you've been awarded this honor, blah blah blah." And I'm going to deny it. And I go, "Whoa, wait a second, what?"
Oh,
Because I need you to help us stand up this organization to schedule because we're behind in readiness and flying hours and all this. And so I'm going to keep you back a year. And I was like deflated.
Yeah.
And he goes, "But I'll give you a team." Well, the team he gave me were all the misfits, like nobody wanted. And I go, "Wait a second, this is so punished. I feel punished." So, but this is the best. This was like the best thing that could ever happen to me. One, being held back. I mean, so sometimes you don't see the power and what's going on, and you just have to trust the universe and also having the misfits, right? But it was all these individuals that nobody wanted. Somebody was just grumpy. This person had a lot of DUIs. This person did other things. Anyway, through that experience, I had to figure out how am I gonna motivate this team, build this new organization. And it was then that I learned that what are you passionate about? What are you excited about? And then instead of just saying, okay, this is our organizational structure, you sit here, really you design the structure based on the strengths of the team.
Interesting.
And it was so, and empowered them. And that's what a lot of them wanted. They wanted to be heard, they wanted to be seen, they wanted to be understood and empowered.
But you wouldn't have known that.
Right. I mean, that's something.
Learned that skill.
Right.
If you hadn't have been
Right.
Which is interesting because I always look back at one of the best mentors I had was a boss that I had when I was in my 20s. But she knew I hated numbers. I hated detailed things. And she would, I know, shocking. She's like, but she would make me do that part of the job for our team, for our area every month. And I was just like, why did she hate me so much? And now looking back, I think, wow, she developed areas that she knew I would not choose to develop on my own.
Mhm.
And she had me doing those things. So it is, one of those things. And I always think of Strength Finders, that book or that whole training program, Strength Finders, and Marcus Buckingham. I don't know if you've ever seen a video series he did called Trombone Player Wanted.
No.
It's part of Strength Finders. And she used the analogy of a kid who, they needed a trombone player, so he's playing the trombone, but every day was just like tapping on everything. He really had this desire to play drums, but they didn't need a drummer. And so he was stuck playing the trombone. And it's like, how many of us are in positions because it just was the opening, and yet our desire and our strength is over here, and how he had to find a trombone player so that he could then transition into drums. But it always makes me think of looking at your team and seeing where do they, lately we've been talking about right person, wrong seat, right person, right seat, that whole analogy. And you see a person that you're having, you're like, okay, how do we move them to a different seat? Or how do we put the right person in this seat? So it's interesting. It's like a whole strategy of pulling a team together.
It took like
somebody holding you back.
Yeah. Well, and it's so in the way that you then empowered and trusted your team that you built and had under you, you had to trust the person who was making above you making the decision. And so it's like having people around you that you trust, because you could have just quit if she kept making you do numbers.
Right.
But you were like, no, I think there's something bigger here. And you could have been like, no, this is ridiculous. I want to go to school.
Yeah.
Right? Because this feels like the right path. This is what people do. I got the honor. I got to go. And instead, you trusted them enough to say, like, okay, I think you're seeing something here I'm not.
Also, you're in the military.
What's
You don't
cute
get to
about
choose.
that? I really didn't have a choice. I couldn't say, yeah, sorry.
No, I choose not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dana would be the worst person.
You're like, oh.
I did. No, full disclosure.
Did you argue the fact?
No. No, I went into, I told the boss, give me 3 weeks and I'll have a plan and I'll brief it to all the commanders. And so I went in and I briefed the commanders on what we could do and kind of how we were switching. And boy, they were just naysayers, and no, that was part of the culture, and we were trying to overcome. And so I stopped, and I looked at my boss, and I said, sir, I don't want this job. I never wanted this job. And clearly they're not on board. And so I said, sir, I'm going to give,
Take it back.
Yeah, I don't think you need me. And he goes, no. And
Yeah.
he excused me and he talked to the commanders.
Oh, interesting.
And then I came back. But I basically said, hey, look, we all have to have buy-in.
Right.
This is not easy. I did not choose this job.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this job. Yet this is the job that the boss asked me to do. So we need to work.
Yeah.
And that was a turning point. And
Well, that
so,
is good.
so
Yeah.
I couldn't necessarily say no. I quit.
Okay.
I want that other job.
Yeah.
Mm,
Which,
the other one.
which thinking of quitting, what did make you decide to retire?
Yeah. So,
Because you're very young.
well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
You're
you.
very youthful.
Well, I started at 9. So,
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, the military was different.
so, I brought 2 amazing girls into this world, and I want to spend time.
Yeah.
And I have moved since I was born 26 times. With them, when they were 7 and 5, we moved 5 times. And to continue on, I would have gone back to DC, to the Pentagon, and every year I was kind of on the every year, every 2-year cycle. And I go, I want to spend time with them.
Yeah.
And it's, they were 7 and 5, and I was also unfortunately going through a divorce,
Yeah.
which was which is a good thing,
Yeah.
right? It's a, I should have gotten out of it a long time ago. But so those elements are going on,
Yeah.
and I'm grateful that it all played out the way it did,
Yeah.
because it landed me in Colorado,
Yeah.
built my forever home. The girls are thriving, and I love it. I love the community. That's why I chose Colorado to stay in. And
Was it a hard transition to go from a high-powered position to an identity? I know, because immediately I think, oh, it'd be so relaxing finally. But is there something like that's hard to transition?
absolutely not.
No, not at all.
Now,
Really?
I'm rare, probably.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. It wasn't. I was so ready to retire.
Your vision.
Well, it's because I think when I was younger in the military, I saw some people a little older,
Yeah.
and an image that comes to mind is a buddy that was a fighter pilot, and he was chiseled and looked better than Top Gun, and he had the beautiful wife on his side. They had a beautiful house, and they party all the time, and he was living this image.
Right.
And as he retired, he was divorced. He got divorced, and he lost himself.
Yeah.
He goes, "Who am I?"
Right.
And he was living an image versus his authentic self. And so it was horrible to see your friend go through that, right?
Yeah.
But it really gave me a means at a young age to really make sure I was in check. Yeah, I'm a pilot. I've flown 9 planes. Yes, I'm in the military. I'm an officer.
Right.
But that's not who
Who you
Kristin.
are. Right.
That's why when you say, what do you call me? You call me
Right.
Kristin. Or
I love-
goofball, or whatever you want to call me.
Someone else said, "Who are you when you're at home?" And I thought that was interesting. It's like, who are you when you're at home, not who are you at like your job.
Oh, right.
And I was like,
You
oh,
remember-
that's an interesting way to ask someone. So who are you when you're at home?
I'm a
You're chicken.
chicken. I'm a goofball.
Well, yeah,
You're just
in general when I'm at home.
no. That's my spouse and my kids.
Exactly.
I'm the lowest ranking person.
That is true. It's like suddenly like, oh, I'm humble again.
I am a different person at home in the sense. I think we all are, right?
Yeah.
You go to the job and you have to perform a certain, because that's what you're trained and that's expected of you. But at home, hey, we want to be loved, we applaud,
Right.
we want to be goofy. You don't want people criticizing every word.
It's
Right.
a safe place.
Right.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
a safe place. So yeah.
Now, how long were you retired before you decided, okay, I'm going to start another business?
Yeah,
It is,
so
yeah.
that's fascinating. So because of what my transition I was going through,
Right.
I had to work right away, and so 4 days after, I went into a job, but it was okay. It was an
Yeah.
opportunity, right? Things just happen.
Yeah.
And so I got to be the COO of a company that was kind of in chaos, and I go, I love working in
Oh,
chaos.
interesting. Yeah.
And so I said, absolutely, I'll come in, and I helped. What's really cool is when you get to go in and help people, help an organization be the best that they can be, and really envision their new culture, and also help them accumulate substantial growth in revenue quickly. And so I did that for several months, and then they were back on their feet, and then I took the rest of the year off.
Oh, but did you go in as a fractional, like a fractional CLO or a consultant?
And it like a interim. So no,
Okay.
yeah, I was just like,
So you knew this is a project,
because I said I'm tired and I need some time,
right?
time off. And really after, if you think about the dynamics of what's going on in the world and politics right now, and I'm not going to get into that,
Yeah.
but when you're a leader at that level, as a woman, you become a target and you feel that. And I was exhausted because you're always putting your best foot forward. And sometimes, and it doesn't matter sometimes because, you see it out there, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, man or woman or whatever. When you're at certain positions, you're going to be a target. You're going to deal with a lot of stuff that you're just like, where's this coming from? Political or not, right?
Right.
But during that time, I was just tired. And so I needed to take some time to sleep, to get healthy again, and and do all that, if that makes sense, and just make sure my kids were good, because of all the changes that were going on in their life. So so I took that time
and took it off, and relaxed and took care of yourself.
Yeah.
And then where did Delta V come in?
So Delta V is physics. You guys know what Delta V?
Taylor would.
Delta change
Yeah.
velocity.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Change of velocity. You're all over it.
That's physics. Actually,
I'm
really.
glad like money
It's
spent on
science.
college
Yeah.
actually paying off.
See, look, I'm helping you in social
You are.
situations.
It's like because I can look less awkward.
Mm-hmm. So
Like Delta Airlines. B.
Like
Yeah.
Delta Airlines, when we
that's good.
Where's my seltzer water? Change of velocity.
Change of velocity, and what's cool about that is, in order to have growth, to move forward, you need to have change. You need to change your velocity.
Yeah.
And so Delta V could apply to anything. Change your velocity in your business, in your personal life, in leadership. And so I didn't know when I came up with that initially what that was going to be, right? But it was in my mind for way before I retired. And then my spouse and I created it, and it was really what I kept coming back to. Was I'm really energized by helping people soar, but also be the very, very best that they can be. Find out who they are authentically and live that, right? Also helping them find that balance in their life while also achieving the goals that they want. And so that's kind of what the Delta V kind of evolved.
So really, I see you coaching
Right.
more than, are you training or coaching?
So I'm an executive coach.
Okay.
My spouse is a mental fitness coach, which I think is very important.
Mental fitness. I love that.
I have a great partner.
Yeah.
But also we go in with a C-suite or leadership teams, right?
Yeah.
Because you have to talk to the top of any organization and go in and do team coaching and leadership. And then we also do master classes. And then I also do speaking, which is where we
met.
Yeah. So, those are kind of the 4 pillars. But really, it's all about optimizing the people individually, but also together.
So are there any points you could give our listeners that if they're in a place now they feel either stuck or lackluster in their career or even their personal life, that they can maybe take a couple steps to say, okay, I can try some of these things, and then we'll talk about really probably should stay in touch with them. Yeah, Tracy and Krista can help you.
Yeah. I wish every situation is different, so it's hard to give like hey, this list of 3 or 5 is going to apply to everybody out there. But a lot of times what I find is leaders, even CEOs, are the poorest at doing self-care.
True.
Oh, yeah.
Taking time, and I say that because she's pointing at
We're getting hypothetical here. Yeah, we're hypothetical. Asking for friends.
But and I say that because I didn't do it.
Right.
As a general and a commander, I didn't take care of myself. That's why I had to take a year off. I just my body was starting to shut down, right? And so that's the first thing is to recognize, take a breath and step back and understand that you can be so much more for your organization, your relationships, your kids, if you're taking care of yourself. and taking the time. People always say, "Oh, I don't have time."
You know,
Yeah,
I
right.
don't have time. I don't have time. No, you haven't made time. Yeah, you haven't made that a priority to do.
Right. And I'm gonna call into the audience.
Yeah,
What's
our
that thing
studio
that you
audience.
replace time with life?
Oh,
I don't have time for my kids. Is that right?
and you change it to I don't have time.
I don't have enough life for my kids.
Oh, wow. I
So,
don't have enough life for
Yeah.
my
right. And I,
for my
say it that
physical exercise, or I don't have life enough.
I don't have enough time for exercising.
Right,
I don't have enough life.
for exercising.
Yeah. It just,
Wow.
it gives you a different way of kind of looking
Yeah.
and stepping back. We do have time. It's really how you prioritize it. And also you know, cutting out, trying to be everything to everyone, which I try to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't, you get to a limit. And that's another reason I retired, because the demands were too much.
Yeah.
And so I chose my kids.
Good
And,
choice, wise choice.
yeah. So
Wise choice.
I'm
Is that why
sorry.
you made me work with you?
That's why I made you work with me.
She didn't-
Take time off. It's Sophie's choice. I can't choose. So
Like,
you're gonna
if
work
you
with me.
With me,
Yeah.
then I'm choosing my kids every
I
time
made
go
all
to
four of
work,
them
so-
do something working with me.
Yeah. No, but it is interesting, and I think it's a misconception that a lot of leaders have is like, if I'm giving half of myself all the time versus taking a break and then giving my full self when I'm ready, that's somehow better because I'm always here, but it's like you're half here. Your energy's gone, your motivation's not as strong or as high. You're just not like your team can tell you're not fully
Right.
engaged in a way that they need you to be as the visionary, as the leader. So
Which is interesting. I feel like leaders do need to take a step back and do a self-assessment, almost a life assessment of, what are my levels of fulfillment in all these areas, and is it time to retire? And how many CEOs need to step back and bring in a new Sharpie, slinger, because sometimes you're not even the right person to be leading in that capacity anymore, and maybe someone else should step in. So, but you don't know those things until you take some time off to assess.
I like the Delta V concept
Yeah,
because
I love
it's
that.
so tangible. I can
Yeah,
see maybe even there's a point where your Delta needs to change. Your V needs to change. It's the Delta. So because you need to slow down or you need to get faster in this area, and I love that.
Well, the other part of the delta is the space where you are and where you want to be. It's a change, right? So where are you right now? So if I was to say, you have to find out where you are right now, and are you happy with your job?
right.
Okay, you've got this great job, you got all this money, but you have so many people that aren't happy. Well, why?
Right.
Well, it's because they're that person playing the trombone, but they want to play the drums.
They really want to play the
But
drums,
they don't see a way out of that.
Yeah.
And so what I do is we talk about that.
and then I go,
let's
buy
be
Taylor
happy.
some drumsticks.
Yeah, and figure that out. So, going through that delta to where you want to be, right? It's not a straight line.
Right.
Life is not a straight line.
That's a big one.
It's weeding. A delta could be a river too. There's a lot of different
Is the Delta a point in a river where all of a sudden the
Things change.
flow changes?
Yeah. I mean, delta, there's a lot of different definitions to it, but we use it for that change in your life, where you are, where you want to be. But also, we hit those speed bumps, right? I call them, where you're trying to figure things out, life gets hard, it gets messy, and all of that. And when you think about resilience, about bouncing back, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you're a leader in charge or on the leadership team. But we really like to talk about going beyond resilience. And it's when you hit those speed bumps that you actually grow the most.
Mhm.
And that's really where you soar.
Sure.
And you get to new heights of innovation, of excellence, or, what you're looking for. And I look at it as a way for the universe sometimes to say, hey, look, I'm going to put this pothole in front of you.
You need to slow down.
You need to slow down, or I'm trying to tell you to pivot, but you're not paying attention,
Interesting.
And so those are things, we talked about.
Quit fighting it.
Yeah.
And
You're like, I see a speed bump. If I go fast enough, I think I could launch and
Right.
I go higher, and actually you're just
It's some air there.
and the other falls off. Yeah. So
So, Okay, so how now you're in Boulder now?
No, Colorado
You're in
Springs.
Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
Because that makes
By the
sense.
academy.
By the academy.
Yeah.
If people want to get a hold of you, do you have like a way that you first engage with you if I want to
Yeah,
have you come in and work with a team?
sure. In Colorado, we just build a big fire and do smoke
Yes.
signals.
I do love that.
Yeah.
So
Right?
you need to call.
Yeah.
Work outside.
It's just
Or
Kristin
I
Goodwin.
flew the B-2, so it would be like the back plane,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, like the light. You know,
Yeah. Okay. That
Okay.
would be so cool.
That would be so cool.
So if those two
I
things
love
don't
it.
work,
Yeah.
you could just go to our website. It's the-delta-v.com.
The Delta V, no, the Delta hyphen.
-v.com.
No
Yeah.
smoke or fire necessary.
No.
No jet fuel necessary.
No
Easy.
big
Less
lights.
exciting, but really efficient.
Really efficient. Go there, fill out the contact.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. And yeah, to work with people. And I'm hearing the trolley coming.
Oh.
Yeah. No one else
Are we
can hear
going
it
to
again. Once
Alcatraz?
again,
Oh,
we're-
the trolley's coming. Good job.
Good
I
job.
hear it too.
Now here, we're now going to the favorite things. We're gonna just end the show here on some of our favorite things, whether it's a podcast or book or your favorite chapter. Kathy Romero, we always
We
reference.
always reference it.
We love that. And do you have a favorite thing that you have in
Oh.
your yeah?
I do.
Ooh,
Can I put some
Wow.
together?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh, even better.
our
So-
favorite thing is
These
to
are
live in the land-
our favorite
land of,
and we don't live in or.
you can do it.
Oh, okay, great. So in the land of Anne.
Yes.
Okay. That I will throw 5 things together. I love the mountains,
Love it.
love Colorado,
Love.
love the color blue,
Oh,
love skiing,
Love.
love my family and music.
Oh.
So I'm painting the picture.
Wow.
I'm in
Sound
Summit
music.
County, Colorado,
Yeah.
skiing, blue skies,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
With my family,
Coming up.
listening to my favorite song, Try Anything by Shakira.
Okay.
Oh,
From
from
Zootopia.
Zootopia.
Utopia, which is
Bring
my
it back
favorite.
to- yeah. Is that your favorite movie?
Yeah,
I
I mean,
Disney movie?
yeah.
I tried to get okay, like was really into it for a
I mean,
while,
Leo's
loved
good
it.
too, but
Yeah.
I like.
And then she stopped being into it. And now I'm like, let's watch
I think we all have a
Zootopia.
kid in ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, we can't be serious all the
Well,
time.
have you gone skiing yet?
No,
No, we can't.
no,
No, people already, A-Base have already opened, people.
no.
Yeah. They already opened. There was already people on the list. Yeah. Last week or this week. What is
Can't be
today?
good.
Yeah.
It can't be good.
Those are great favorite things. Remind me of sound of music.
I know.
Music.
And you know what?
skiing,
All of that tells me is the story of yourself.
Oh,
Self-care.
Yeah.
That's true. Family,
It's like
skiing,
Yeah.
music.
you actually are taking time and dreaming about and doing all the things that bring you life.
What's your favorite one? I was gonna try that. No, you know what? Now let's go from deep and very relational to oh, what's this? You were wondering what is this little thing of oil sitting here? Because I always share my favorite podcast or favorite business book. No, I'm shocking you. Shocking you. It's not really self-care. It's just pure vanity, people. It's how to look tan
Oh, it's a
in the
tanning?
winter. Okay, I discovered this. I don't remember who told me. This one is called Tanologist. It's just oil, and you mix it with your moisturizer, or I use oil because when you get a certain age, lotion just doesn't work anymore. I use oil. I put rose oil stuff and vitamin E, and then I put a couple drops of this. And look, do you see red or orange? No, you see
Oh, this
tan.
is what the influencers do.
Beautiful.
Ready?
Yes. Put your
This,
hands like
and then
this.
put your hand behind it.
Tanologist. L'Oreal makes one. Tanologist.
This
is
is
the brand.
self-care drops. By
Yeah.
Tannologist.
I'm telling you, people, you mix a couple drops in there with your
This is
moisturizer.
hilarious.
Yeah, I knew. I thought I would shock you because I'm like, goes with another business, but no. Vanity wins this week with tanning oil. Yeah, and it's for body and face, not just face. So a couple
Have you
drops.
tried drinking?
No, but you know what? That might work too.
That's bleach.
Yeah,
Sorry.
good one.
Here.
Carrot. So there's my favorite thing. Tanologist. Right there.
Uh,
Just thought, winter's coming out. You have to figure out either I have to just go lay in the sun somewhere, which would probably be good for me too. Take time off and go lay in the sun. Or
She's like, I could take time, enjoy the sun, like take
Yeah.
a day, just like where I could just
Or I
spend
could
my
just-
time is in the sun and
Yeah.
keep working.
keep working. Yeah. How about you?
A little bit of that'll seep in.
Yeah. Nice.
And my favorite thing lately, I am accidentally getting really obsessed with like prison recidivism rates.
Which is fascinating.
Because you've been doing that work for a long time.
And work in the prisons here in Denver.
Yeah.
And
I
there's-
live by the one you go to the women's correctional facility up north on like Smith and Peoria or something.
Havana. Yeah.
Havana. Unana. And so,
But you read a book recently?
The documentary and the book, both, I just kind of came into both on accident. So I went to masterclass, which highly recommend. That's
Highly
another one of my
recommend,
favorite things.
yeah.
So we're doing the Land Band
Yes.
masterclass. Love masterclass. Love. Now they're doing documentaries. And so it used to just be like, you take a series of classes. Like I did a radical candor class, or I did a intentional eating class, and all these mobility classes. And then now they're doing documentaries. And one I just watched was called Tehachapi, which is a prison in the middle of the desert in California, maximum security prison, which I believe, after doing some research, they shut it down last year.
I think so.
Big controversy there. Gotta learn more. But there's an artist named JR from France who did this incredible project at Tehachapi. So I'll just leave it at that.
Look it up.
Look it up. I think you have that.
I think you do, because I looked to see if they had it on YouTube, and I could only
This
find
is
the
a good
master
motivation.
class. Go like $10 a month.
Yeah, and you do like an annual thing, and then you're like, great, I can watch all these amazing people teach us what they know, and it makes my life better. But it's my alternative to like just zoning out with like a Netflix show.
But you happened upon that one, and then you sent it to
I
me,
happened upon it
and then
and then I was like, oh my gosh, not only is it this cool art project and like a cultural, we're talking, talking about a taboo of like people going to prison and the actual stories behind prisoners, and not just like
they're
yeah,
not
you
just
deserve
the
to be there
crime
sort
they
of
commit, right?
narrative. But it was so good. Like changes your perspective if your perspective is already changing on that whole industry and all of that. And you've done the work, so I already have an interesting perspective of like actually the people behind just being like you're just an inmate in prison. So that Tehachapi, incredible. Then I was like, oh, I'm at this random bookstore, find this book called The Many Lives of Mama Love. I'm like, cool. Read it on the beach. The whole thing's about this woman who goes to prison for identity theft and drug use and all the craziness of like her time in there and the dynamics, and then her story after she's released, and just like then she's talking about recidivism and the prison system, and I was like, turns out this is just a theme in my life right now.
That maybe something is telling her that, you know what, go down the street, do some work with your mom.
I know what you've always said. Yeah, I do, but I've never followed up on that. But it's just fascinating. And I think I recommend it for everyone to either read that book or watch that documentary, because they just change your perspective on cultural.
And you know what?
and
It
social
ties
norms.
back in the beginning with Mr. Rogers,
Mr. Rogers, who has a great
who
line.
has a great quote that he used to always carry in his pocket that says, "There isn't a person you couldn't love once you learn their story." And I just believe that once you get to know somebody, there's something about that you just love them, and you see them differently, and you understand what they've gone through differently. And I just think, especially in the times we're in, today being election day, is first get out there and vote if you still haven't. But
You would like a few hours at this point, so.
yeah, get going. But it's just one of those things that once you know someone's story, you might just see them different, and you might just understand them at a level that you're like, you know what, we have a lot in common.
It just means you have to get to know them and be like, oh, I see it now. We agree. We're on the same page. But just that level of kindness
Yeah.
and vulnerability that you can have with someone changes your perspective and their perspective and dynamic. And it's incredible. It's important.
And so with that, we have one more small thing we're going to announce.
Surprise stuff.
Surprise stuff. We have just a quick stuff we have to make. You were
I
telling
don't
Cindy.
know this one.
Yeah, you actually do. But we've now talked to a couple of our neighbors here at the village who are therapists, and we have so many therapists, fabulous therapists here, and they all serve a
Saying something
different.
about us?
I know we're
That they're all
surrounding us
going
with
around
people we
like,
need.
noticed you need therapy.
Yeah.
We're like, how about instead you just transfer an office? And they're like, great.
Yeah, we do have a lot of therapy offices here, and we decided, you know, it'd be fun is let's learn about each of the therapists, how they serve their clients in a different way. And since we always tease saying on the show, it's a little like therapy for Taylor and I.
Yeah.
We're gonna have them.
So we're going to learn about, because there's different methods in therapy. we learned one of this morning's cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT.
See, I thought they were talking about CBD, and I was like, I think that's
And
now
she was like,
legal.
oh, I love it.
Yeah.
And
I don't know. It's
And so
CBT.
there's different methods, digging into your childhood or being present, tools, just different ways to go about it. So we are going to interview all the therapists in here using their methods and talking about them.
Learning about them as
doing a
neighbors.
little mini session.
Little mini session, which
So if you love keeping up with the Kardashians,
you're
gonna love this
this
because
series.
they'll be thrown.
Yes.
There'll be tears, all from me.
All from her. I'll be saying,
Yeah.
let's get over it. Move
Yeah.
on. Can we just laugh about this and move on? So that's coming up next. It's starting next week. So yeah, fun here in the neighborhood. But this was a fun episode. So fun getting to know
I
you.
feel like I could go for so
I know.
long. Just be like,
Tell me more. We really need Tracy to join us next time and go, let's get it here. Set up. Yeah. Onward.
I mean, you did
Or you guys
incredible,
can have fun.
impressive things, and
we like didn't even see the tip of that iceberg. So it's, we're very honored and I'm very grateful that you took time and came here today to talk to us. And we're excited.
And are you on any social channels that people can follow you?
So just starting that.
Oh,
we just
very
launched our
good.
website about a month ago. And what I've learned is I'm not good at social media.
It's hard.
And you
Knowledge
don't have to be. There are other people who can.
So
you know?
we're bringing a team on to kind of help with that. So Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook. We're going to do all three. But I'm on LinkedIn right now. But it's just not something.
We'll put your LinkedIn profile link in our notes, in the show notes, and then look for coming soon on all these channels. Is it the Delta V?
It is.
For social media?
Yeah.
The Delta V. I love
Like-
it.
Thank you
love
for
to
our
help
live
people.
studio
Yes,
audience.
we have a live studio.
Yeah,
That's gonna grow. That's gonna grow. Yes. So thank you so much. This was really fun. We'll see you all next week.